Three, two, one, Dracarys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know that sound means it's time for another episode of A Beer Review.
So pour it high and let it gleam. This is the podcast, Sip and Dream. Stay for the fun, we've got more to do. Oh yeah, it's a beer and review.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is so good to see you on this wonderful episode. We are back. It has been a while. My name is Lane Good. I'm your host this week, and as always, I'm joined by my two wonderful friends and co-hosts, Keith Fuchs.
What up, boys?
And Lucas Walker.
Hey, fellas.
This week, we are reviewing House of Dragons Season 3, Episodes 1 through 4, and we are drinking Dragon's Milk Imperial Bourbon Aged Stout. As we do every episode, we need to start with our ceremonial swig, gentlemen. It's been a while, so to yours and yours.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's a thick boy in the middle of summer. Delicious. Fellas, it's been a while. It's like I said, it's wonderful to see your faces. We got an exciting weekend ahead of us with the Odyssey, but most importantly, I need to know how you've been. Mr. Fuchs, how are you, my friend?
You know, pretty solid. Nothing too exciting. I don't think that there's literally anything new since the last time we recorded a couple weeks ago. I believe that was after the 4th of July, if I'm not mistaken.
Right before.
It was before. Well, I guess we had the 4th of July since the last time we recorded. So, yeah, but just did some camping during that time, work, kids, summer. Definitely not have the travels that Mr. Walker has had.
Lucas?
Yeah, man. It's been crazy. Earlier in mid-June, I had an 11-day trip that was mostly driving, and then you and I went to a World Cup game. I was out of town for the 4th of July weekend, and then most recently 8 days of travel, 5 of which were primarily driving, and had all 4 of the kids. And it was a choice. It was crazy. I'm happy to be home, happy to be in my own bed, happy to be on the pod, happy to be back to normal life for a short period of time.
I absolutely love to hear it. Me as well. Been wonderful. Lucas, you mentioned that World Cup experience, how wonderful that was. But I've actually just been ripping a lot of movies that I'd like to talk about. I'll try and keep it pretty quick so we're not here all night. But I've been on an absolute heater. I went back and I watched 2 absolute classics. I'm trying to work my way through all 4, but the 2000s comedies, American Pie and American Pie 2.
Nice.
So those are interesting to go back and watch as a 35-year-old man. Just a different era of film. I still enjoyed it. It's funny to think that that's where the word MILF comes from, was that movie, and now it's just part of our culture. So I thought that was fun to hear. I also watched A River Runs Through It. It's an early young Brad Pitt flick, and he's this fly fisherman, but he's also this bad boy, and it's just a story of these 2 brothers growing up in, I think, Montana. A good movie, really interesting. Glad I watched it. Probably won't watch it again, but it's funny to see these actors who are now older as youngins. I also watched The Furious. It's a martial arts, kung fu, kick-ass kind of movie. It's got amazing reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's fun to watch a movie. We did our kung fu fight a couple years ago for the podcast, but it's fun to just watch these dudes have these amazing choreographed moves, doing shit you've never seen human beings do, and they pull it off so smoothly that you don't even really realize how awesome the stuff is that you're seeing. Then I watched Baby Driver for the first time. That was on my list of movies of every year I've been alive. That was a really fun movie. It was okay. Not exactly what I wanted, but listening to a lot of fun licensed music and going along with the beat the whole way. I watched 300, which is fun to go back to. I like that flick. It's always fun to have on in the background. You can just look up and something badass or awesome is happening basically the entire time. And it is funny to see Cersei in that movie. And then the final flick I watched was Shrek 2. Just an absolute blast that movie is. Yeah. I saw that in theaters as a youngin', and it was up randomly. I said, you know what? Let's take a blast to the past. I watched 300. Let's go on and throw some Shrek 2. What a joy this last few weeks have been as far as watching flicks.
God bless it, my man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Keith, you want to go next? What you been watching?
That's hard, tough to follow. Although I do have some fucking great nuggets here. So last Saturday was home in bed. Wife was about to fall asleep, and I came across, just scrolling through Netflix, a classic comedy from the year 2000, Meet the Parents.
Yes.
Another very good one. Yeah.
Boy, is that movie fucking great. You forget,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe because I saw it when I was 10, it came out, and I've seen it, since, but you forget how uncomfortable that entire fucking movie is, and it's hilarious. So that was awesome. The next night, I guess that was Friday night, and the next night, gentlemen, it's taken me over a year now, but I finally watched the final Mission Impossible.
There we go.
Nice.
Yes.
Finally watched the final one, and it was disappointing.
Ah.
Definitely not the best of the 7. Number 2 was worse.
Yeah.
It
Two's bad.
probably is the second worst of all of them. But when they make an AI entity the main bad guy in an action movie, you're not going to get a lot of action because he can't physically fight an AI agent. I feel like that was a big part of the issue. It was just a little boring. So kind of disappointment, but at least I did finish. And finally, Lucas, I have a feeling you watched this one as well. It was mentioned in our text, and I had already watched it. Our boy Sam Neill passed away this week. So the day that he passed, I threw on some good old fashioned Jurassic Park. Just what a goddamn movie!
It's a masterpiece. Every time you
tremendous.
throw it
What
on.
a goddamn movie! And the amazing thing is to watch. Jurassic Park 2 is not good. Jurassic Park 3 actually wasn't bad. The Jurassic Worlds are just a whole different animal of
Yeah,
not great. They're fine.
they're fine.
How can we not make a good dinosaur movie?
They're
Like,
fine. But Jurassic Park is just it's amazing how good that goddamn movie was. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Good stuff this week.
Nice. Well, yeah, I also watched Jurassic Park for the same reason. And I showed it to the boys. The 2 older boys watched a portion of the beginning of it. They were, it's like it's not all dinosaurs, right? There's some setup and there's some stuff going on, so it's like they were kind of bored with that. But anytime dinosaurs were on screen, they were on board. So I watched Jurassic Park. I watched with my mom over a couple of different viewings because we were in different places. Whatever. We watched Tombstone.
Beautiful.
I think I gave Tombstone an unfair score when we did it on the podcast. I remember giving it something like in the 7s. It's not a proper score. That movie is fucking awesome. It's so good. And Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday is one of the all-time characters in any movie, and has a collection of the best one-liners that I would put up against any lines from any character in any movie. So really good. Then I watched, let's see, like 2 nights ago, just a movie as I was scrolling through Amazon Prime, came across a movie called A Violent History, or a Violent
that's on my list.
History of
To
Violence.
watch.
A History of Violence, something, yeah, whatever
Great
the fuck it was.
movie.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a great movie. I would call it it had the bones of a great movie, and it was like, so it's a 2005 movie. It got nominated for 2 Academy Awards. One of them was a supporting actor award for a guy who was in the movie for maybe 7 to 8 minutes. Like, I can't believe he got nominated, but it kind of is like of the ilk of a Nobody type movie, right? It's this unassuming
Much
guy
more serious than Nobody.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's like he used to be a badass. He's trying to like live a new life, a straight life. And then people keep fucking with him, so he's got to fucking kill people. It's basically what it was. It was cool.
I watched that movie in the back seat of our car on a road trip to Montana when I was
there. You go.
15,
I mean, here's the thing. I liked the movie. There were some things in it, like some acting specifically from some of the younger actors, like the teenager. He had like beef with another teenage kid. I was like, this is horrible. This is horrific. What are we doing here, guys? But overall, like the movie. And then last night, the one I really wanted to talk about, and guys, I almost might make us do both of these movies for the podcast at some point if we've got a slow period. But I watched Mortal Kombat 2. It fucking rules. It's so fucking awesome. God damn it. It's so good. So the first Mortal Kombat of these new Mortal Kombat movies, like it was fine. It was okay. It was kind of disappointing. I didn't like that they made the main character like it was a new guy. He's like not a Mortal Kombat character from any video game. He's like new for this movie. Which to me just didn't make any sense. And for both movies, I've got some beefs, but like they do enough in these two movies, these new ones, that like are direct references from a video game that doesn't really have a story, right? Like they kind of have made up storylines and you know, there's some of the games do kind of have a story, but for the most part, it's a fucking 2D fighting game where you move up the ranks and fight harder and harder people. It's not that fucking deep, right? So they've done a good job to make two movies out of this video game. But it's a video game that I love dearly. And god damn it, was that fucking movie sweet. And Lane, I'm surprised that you're not like a Mortal Kombat guy, considering you're such a video game guy.
Considering you're a gamer, that seems right up your alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need you boys to play it with me. Lucas, you gave Tombstone a 7.5.
Yeah, that's criminally low. It's an 8.5 at least.
Well, gentlemen, let's get to the reason that we are here. We love to do it. It's been a few years. We are back to talk House of Dragons, episodes 1 through 4. I feel like the way we should do this, boys, correct me if I'm wrong, is I've got the episodes and a few things that happen in them. We could talk about the episode, kind of say what we think about them, and then we'll get to the episode 4 and say what we think about the season and maybe where we're going. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Great.
Beautiful. So I'd say that the directors, I've seen two of them, Lonnie Peristine and Claire Kilner, starring Matt Smith as Daemon, Olivia Cook as Alicent, and Emma Darcy is Queen Rhaenyra, with others. Episode 1 is called Salt and Sea, Fire and Blood, and my God, do they throw you right back into the action. It's been 2 years since the show's been on, but that doesn't matter. We are going to get introduced to Sheepstealer, the wild dragon, and Rhaena, who mounts this wild dragon. We officially have a new dragon on Team Rhaenyra. We have King Aegon after he's been burned, and that creepy Larys dude, who's like the master of whispers, are taken prisoner by a group of people who are loyal to Queen Rhaenyra. Alicent, working with Rhaenyra, convinces Aemond and the big-ass dragon, I forget his name, Vhagar to leave King's Landing. And she talks with the King's Guard or Queen's Guard saying, hey, Rhaenyra's going to come. Let her in. This is, it's time to have a transfer of power peacefully. So Aemon leaves to go attack Harrenhal. And we get a big old battle on the sea. It's the Triarchy, which if you guys remember from the end of season 2, it's that very strong woman with very strong features, and the Lannister gentlemen, and they are a group fighting the Valyrian fleet. We have a very awesome battle on the scene. They need a dragon for this fight, and Jace decides it's his time to, the Queen's son Jace, it's his time to make a stand and make an impact on this war, and he locks his mother, the Queen, in her chambers so Jace and Baela can ride their dragons into battle and keep the Queen out of danger. We have our dragon Sheepstealer from the beginning, who is going to also help, but unfortunately it's a wild dragon. It does not take commands and absolutely decimates, burning the Valyrian fleet and, basically team killing their own squad. In the battle, we see the death of Lohar, because they do this kind of sweet move, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But the death of Lohar, Tywin Lannister is pushed overboard. I don't believe we see him die. And Vermax, Jace's dragon, is shot out of the sky by this big giant anchor that weighs him down. Jace is just trying to get him to fly up. He does not. He's starting to sink, and Jace is just sitting there floating in the water and gets like 4 arrows to the chest. dying very unceremoniously. And that is really the end of episode 1. Gentlemen, Keith, what did you think about this episode? Diving right in to the action. Were you ready for it?
I loved it. I loved that we dove right into the action. The death of Jace was somewhat heartbreaking. Somewhat heartbreaking. I feel like I wasn't like completely all in, which is we'll discuss character development and such with this at a certain point, I'm sure. I do have other thoughts on this that we'll get to as well. But overall, just as a singular episode, is a great way to jump back into the action. Literally jumping into actual action, which has been sorely missed for a good portion of this show. It was nice to see a good battle. I have other thoughts, but we'll get to them later. As speak about the episodes in whole.
Yeah, I mean, the end of season 2 was definitely like cliffhanging, into a bunch of like we were crescendoing to a bunch of battles, right? Shit had to start going down, and I think probably one of the primary, criticisms for both seasons 1 and 2 was that they're pretty slow burns, right? There's not a lot of dragon fighting. There's not a lot of wars. There's not a lot of battles. There's just not a lot of fighting, in the first 2 seasons, right? And it seems like at all times we are headed for major conflict, and for whatever reason we don't get it, or we, it gets kind of the can gets kicked down the road. And so the season 2 cliffhanger was definitely like, okay, shit's gonna go down in season 3. And so I'm glad that in season 3 they didn't start us out with more slow burn and like, yeah, we're gonna get there. Like, they finally gave us what we've kind of wanted forever. This big sea battle, this naval battle with dragons mixed in, and then some of the the politicking going on the outside, right? So it was kind of the perfect. I thought it was pretty goddamn perfect.
Yeah, great way to jump back in.
Yeah.
I do want to just throw out a beef really quick because we might not get to it later. But Jace locking his mother in the chambers and the guard like not listening to the queen and listening to this, that was all just kind of weird and weak to me. But whatever.
He's the hand of the queen. He has power.
He does have power.
And sure, but less.
He's less power than the queen, right?
Less power than the queen. So if I was that guy, I would have let the queen out almost immediately.
Sure.
Okay, let's get into episode 2. Queen's Landing. Jace's body is brought to Rhaenyra, and as we saw a lot in season 2, I believe, she cries. Rhaena, the writer of Sheepstealer, offers to protect Jane Eyre and the Vale in order for a place to hide because she's afraid to, be found out as the one who's literally torturing their own people. King Aegon and Larys, the 2 cripples, are able to escape their captors somehow. Lord Corlys is found alive and promises to grace his bastards with his last name. Alicent convinces the City Watch to let Rhaenyra take the kingdom, and some dude tries to rape her about it. After learning of Jace's death, Daemon rides back to Dragonstone and is tasked with identifying the writer of Sheepstealer. Aemon arrives at Harrenhal and kills the ward. I think it's Larys' dad, if I remember correctly. Sir Strong.
Yeah. Fat old dumpy guy.
Yeah, which we loved. Rhaena and her dragons head to King's Landing and are not shot down by the city's defenses. The King's Guard sides with Rhaena and arrests the Hightowers on the spot. Otto Hightower, who we had not seen in a while, had been in captivity, is given to gift to Daemon. Otto is then brought to the throne room where Rhaenyra very sloppily hacks his head off. Alicent and Helena attempt to escape but fail and are brought to the throne room just in time to see the beheading. Rhaenyra and Alicent lock eyes and give some kind of weird facial expression like they've got to take a shit. And that was really episode 2. Lucas, what did you think about seeing Sir Otto Hightower back? The beheading was kind of gross. It reminded me when Theon did it in Game of Thrones. What did you think about this episode and the takeover of King's Landing?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of back to the pacing of what we've become used to with this season, but it is, you know, the culmination of basically 2 seasons worth of shit happening. Right? We have Rhaenyra finally taking the throne, taking over King's Landing. We have like a new world order basically. Yeah, the Otto Hightower thing was cool. I kind of had forgotten about him completely. Um, getting his head chopped off, that gives good Game of Thrones vibes. That's that good old Game of Thrones stuff we've all.
They did have one beautiful shot too of like you see his body on the ground and they reflect off of his blood. Rhaenyra taking the throne. It's like, yeah, that's some pretty good camera there.
Sure. Yeah, so it was all very good, but I feel like you may have buried the headline a bit, and I don't know if we want to talk about this now, later. We're 2 seasons past a very important piece of this episode that I like feel like I'm having a fucking like taking crazy pills. Aemon was killed? Question mark?
No.
I don't believe he was killed. He was stabbed.
Yeah.
And he met our wicked witch, weird woman, Alice Rivers.
Yes.
We did not see him die.
We didn't see him die,
but he is.
It has not been addressed in the
care of
and
a witch.
His nothing has been addressed with him or his whereabouts or his well-being in the 2 episodes after, which is a decision. That's a choice because he is arguably, the most important character in the entire show, or one of the 2 or 3 most important characters, right?
Which is why I don't think that they would just kill him in this.
Right, but like the last time we saw him, he was in bad shape. He's not doing good.
Yeah,
he was stumbling all around. He got stabbed.
Run into a witch with magical healing powers.
Do we know she has magical healing powers? Do we know that she?
Yeah, all we really
we don't know we don't know anything about her motivations other than I guess she wants this. Well, she wants Harrenhal, right? That's about it.
Daemon didn't give it to her, so now she has Aemond, a weakened Aemond at
Harrenhal, very much weakened,
with the opportunity to now get what she wants.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills because like I was reading some summaries and stuff in preparation for this, and like didn't even mention that happened. I'm like, that's kind of a big thing.
It was a big thing. It was quite crazy, the fact that he got stabbed like that.
Yeah, by some absolute jabroni.
Yeah,
and like he didn't even feel it happen, and then he almost dies.
Yeah, it was a very cool episode, though. The opening scene of Rhaenyra. I know you hate the crying, Lane, but it was very emotional. And then Daemon kind of getting her out of her fucking depression and her trance and being like, let's fucking go. Get on our fucking dragons. We're going to take over. You're finally being queen. I thought that was fucking awesome. It was great to see them.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially because season 2, there was so much, is he on her side? Is he going to take the throne for himself? So I did like that as well.
Well, and also when they arrive at King's Landing and Daemon just fucking murks everybody. I mean, I've been off and on Daemon, more off than on this season, and especially this episode when he just starts slaying motherfuckers. I'm like, I'm in. I love this fucking guy.
He might be one of the most
badass of all the badasses. Like, I'm in.
I'll always think back to the crab, the crab feeder guy. At that battle on the beach, Daemon was just like fucking shit up.
Yeah, I mean, in the history of the show and Game of Thrones, he might go down as one of the most badass dudes, or at least doing the most badass stuff.
Yeah.
All right, episode 3, Rhaenyra's Triumphant. I hope that I did that right, but that's what I wrote down. Daeron Targaryen, a bastard of King Aegon, is given as a prisoner to Rhaenyra, and Daemon suggests killing him. Rhaenyra learns the hard truth of ruling. The crown has no money, the rich are hoarding all the food, and not everyone supports her claim. Mostly the faith. They get into a little argument where she needs to have the faith on her side. Corlys asks Rhaenyra to legitimize her bastards, Alan and Adam. Rhaenyra chooses not to, as they would be heir to the throne, if I remember correctly, kind of how it all works, because she was banging his son, and there's kind of a weird thing where she doesn't want to give them credence,
It's
and it's
more
also
that she
because
doesn't want to legitimize bastards because she
right, because
she has
her kids are
bastards.
bastards.
Yes.
Right. I
Okay.
thought that's more
Right.
what it was. Yeah.
That's more. You guys are correct. I just, my brain was working. Corlys gets pissed and openly calls Rhaenyra's children's bastards, screaming and yelling, hooting and hollering. And I believe, Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of the last interactions that they have. He's very short with her after that. Rhaenyra invites the wealthy to a dinner. Said, "Hey, come on over, all the rich, come have a ball to celebrate me being queen." And she feeds them a nice meal of rats. The reason that they did this is because obviously the rich were hoarding the food, and that's what the poor had to eat. So she was giving the rich a taste of their own medicine. Rhaenyra, while everyone's at the dinner, decides to take all the food that the rich people have been hoarding and give it to the poor as kind of her coronation, her gift to the poor to show that she is awesome as queen, which is a very short term victory because they still need food and still have no money. Alicent is sees it's supposed to be, this Daeron Targaryen, I believe, is supposed to be Alicent's son, right? So they bring Daeron to Alicent to say goodbye or something before they kill him because it's an heir to the throne. But spoilers, twists, we see that Daeron Targaryen is in fact not Daeron Targaryen. It is some boy that they dyed his hair, and it is not the person. So Daeron Targaryen is still out and about. Rhaenyra learns of Ormond Hightower, which is the first time we've mentioned this gentleman. Keith, you have hilariously pointed out the Dennis from It's Always Sunny character. He has taken his army to Tumbleton and is harboring Sir Daeron Targaryen and the young dragon. Keith, this is a little bit more talking episode. We've always mentioned that we like Game of Thrones and we like House of Dragon because of people talking in rooms. What did you think about this episode and its a little bit slower pace?
It's definitely a little slower pace. The thing that I enjoyed, and something my wife didn't, but I thought was very cool, is the whole entire episode is shown from Rhaenyra's perspective as the new queen and all of the trouble she's facing and all the people who want shit from her and all the shit that she now has what she wants, and now she has to deal with all the shit that comes with it.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown or something.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, indeed. And I thought it was just very cool to see everything from the fucking rats to we have no money to the royal families are hoarding all of the fucking goods from everybody, and Corlys wants his. It's literally like she cannot turn a corner without somebody wanting something from her, and I thought it was a very good. I have a feeling, I don't know for sure because I did not read the book that is the background for this, as none of us have. I have a feeling it's a very good lead into what will become a crazier Rhaenyra down the line, because one day on the job and she's going fucking nuts.
Lucas, what'd you think about episode 3?
Yeah, it's definitely, slower. It was a bit boring, even I would say. It's the, I don't know. It's what it made me realize is that we're going a lot deeper in this show than I thought we would. Right? Game of Thrones had how many seasons? Like 8, or how many did there end up being?
8.
Right? And so we had 8 seasons of, 10 episodes each or whatever, hour long. Like we had, we went deep, right? We got to know these characters really well. We got to know the world really well. We got to know, everything that was going on, the motivations, all the stuff. And I guess in my mind, I kind of had thoughts of House of Dragons being like a spinoff and being like a lesser version. And this was the episode that it finally clicked for me that no, we're going, we're doing this. This is its own full entity, right? We're diving deep into some shit. And learning about how the fucking crown works and the coffers being empty and all this, how they have to go off and like get money from other houses, and it's like it's important stuff, it's important context, and it's important background to like make us feel more for the characters and what they're going through. And so in that way I liked it, and it's important that we have that kind of shit. But while I was watching it, I was like, man, this is really a lot of procedural kind of boring background nonsense, but like we need that sometimes. It's important.
Yeah, for me, it's just this show, I enjoy it because it just makes Game of Thrones so much better, right? And I mean,
Right.
I actually went back and started Game of Thrones over after watching these last 4 episodes because that show is so goddamn good. And this just elevates that. And it is fun to go back and see where kind of the Targaryen fire and anger comes from, and, kind of learn all about the history of the family. And we get mentions of these characters in Game of Thrones. So even though it's not, you know, as gripping as the show that we all know and love, I drink and know things, it's still an enjoyable watch. Even though I don't really love any of the characters and there's, not much going on, it's just being in this world is so much fun. And that's why when you see a show like Night of the Seven Kingdoms, where we're in this world and it's awesome, we are all the way in, right?
Yeah, so like that's the thing. It's like Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That one's definitely like a spinoff. We're not going deep in that one.
Full spinoff.
Yeah. We're just having fun. This one is like
singular story.
Yeah, this show is starting to get like to the depths of the similar depths, right? And it's like it makes you appreciate the slow burn more, because it's like we're fully fleshing out all of the ideas and all of the storylines and all of the shit that's going on here. It's not, I mean, that was the criticism everybody had with the final season of Game of Thrones, right? Is that we were slow burn, we were like going deep on everything, and then all of a sudden the last season just kind of flies by, right? Yeah, and so we're not fast forwarding through this show, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and I just love that they've started from the beginning. And so when she talks about, what would my father do, we as the audience can go back to that season 1, and actually we know her father, and I love all of that in the history. And like my name says, I miss King Viserys. Let's get into episode 4, Tumbleton, the most recent episode. Rhaenyra begins to grow her small council as Lord Corlys has kind of bailed. As we mentioned, he said he's going to go fight the Triarchy, and he's a man of the sea, so he kind of bails without telling Rhaenyra and tries to make his son Alan hand to the king in his stead. I think successfully. But she grows her small council. Orwell, who was the previous Grand Maester, stays on. And we have the dude from Balls of Fury and Fantastic Beasts, Torrin Manderly.
Choice.
Love it.
Yeah.
When I saw him instantly, I was like, yes, perfect. Because I feel like he's probably a dork and a nerd in real life. And so to be able to be in one of these shows as a dork and nerd is pretty cool. But he is a master of coin, and they basically are using him as a scapegoat, as the crown lacks funds. So if people are like, hey, we have no money, you can't afford stuff, that's your fault.
It's that dork's fault.
Exactly. We have Ulf, the kind of aloof dragon rider, joins his drinking buddies in the city and learns that the townfolk aren't too fond of Queen Rhaenyra. They've spray painted Queen of the Bastards on the side of the wall. Rhaenyra sends out the Queen's Guard to remove all the writings, and they kind of rough up the citizens, not showing the best side of Queen Rhaenyra. Daemon heads to the Vale to ask for some money for the crown from Jane Eyre, successfully, might I add, which I was surprised about. He's got 2 big old sacks of gold. While he's leaving the Vale, his dragon Caraxes disobeys his command and flies to this cave. Daemon enters the cave and he holds his sword really weird, where he holds it with one hand and then flat on the other. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if you boys caught that. And he finds Sheep Stealer and his daughter, Rhaena. It's a pretty big emotional scene where Rhaena talks about how she's never had a place, and she's always felt like an outcast, and she needs to stay in hiding. She's pleading to her father to, not tell that she was the one who burned in the fleet and basically led to Jace's death. And I thought this scene was really awesome. Daemon finds a local farmer, who's right nearby, burns him and cuts off his head and says that he is the writer of Sheep Stealer. So everyone thinks that obviously Sheepstealer will no longer be in the picture. We have Aegon and Laris. They continue their journey and they come across the body of Sunfire, which I thought was a really good scene. Aegon's kind of like laying on him and really bad at trying to blend in. He's like crying about the death of his dragon, believes the dragon's still alive. If the dragon would have came back to life, I would have been pretty pissed. Keith, do you agree with me on that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I would have felt. It would have been a pants shitting moment, though.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
yeah,
he may still come back to life.
He may still, right? I
He
mean,
may not be dead.
They may have just been planting that seed for later on. I feel like
scene was there for a reason.
Just to step on, your question of how we felt about this episode. There was a lot of seed planting in this episode, exactly. Right? It's like clearly we're gonna the lie about the head of the rider of Sheepstealer is gonna come back. Mm-hmm. Perhaps this dragon not being dead may come back. There was a lot of seeds being planted for drama later on.
Aegon and Laris find a settlement where they can kind of stay and work and hide, and they have to kind of earn their keep. Laris is treated as more noble and respectable and smart. He's got big old brains, but Aegon is stuck to, I believe, flushing the shit waters. He gets in a fight with the dude who's kind of the leader of this settlement and has to bend the knee and kiss the dude's shitty boots. We then have Ormond Hightower, who seems like a big deal for the most part. Like he's kind of the big bad this season, but he doesn't really do much. Him and his troops are still in Tumbleton. There's an issue between one of the troops and the civilians where the troop, like, I think he raped her or got close to her or touched her inappropriately or something. And there's a kerfuffle who's going to. Ormond decides to punish the troop by castration, but he calls it something else, which I'd never heard before, and I had to look up what it was. So I heard a new word for castration. And he appears to be this fair ruler, right? Where it's like, hey, my troop did you wrong, so we're going to punish this guy. And I'm so sorry, you guys are free to go. However, later in the evening, Ormond takes that gentleman who was in this altercation, the civilian, and forces Daeron Targaryen, who I mentioned that he was holding, to kill this guy. And he kind of like gives him the slow poke. It's his first kill, and it's kind of this dark moment. And we see that Ormond is truly an evil bastard. And he said that he's going to go try and take the throne. And gentlemen, that is halfway through season 3 of House of Dragons. I need to take a sip. How are we feeling? Luke, how are we feeling on this season?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm pretty satisfied at this point. Like I said, I kind of had the revelation that like this show is not going to go quickly. Like we're not going to fast forward through this shit. We're doing this. I don't know how many seasons are planned, but 4, 5. You guys are giving me different answers. Either way, like we got some shit still to do, and we'll get there when we get there. And let's enjoy it. And I feel like we've been given the best of both worlds so far, right? We got the big battle. We've seen some dragons getting in the mix, doing some fighting. We've also had some of the more procedural kind of slow burn background kind of stuff going on. I guess my main thing right now for me is it's like, yo, we have not seen Aemond for half the season, and even in the 2 episodes we did see him, he wasn't doing a lot. He is, to me, the most compelling character because he's terrifying. Like, in one-on-one battle, you feel like he could probably beat anybody. He's got the biggest, most badass dragon. He's got, one of the better claims to the throne. Like, he's kind of the total package, and he has been sidelined for most of the season. And like when he's on the screen, man, he's fucking scary. Like he's a scary dude. So I would like to see him involved more, and I'm sure we will get that the rest of the season, but that would be my only beef so far.
Yeah, and it feels like it's funny because he happens to be in Harrenhal. It feels like Harrenhal is the place where storylines go to die, right? Like in season 2, Daemon was in the Harrenhal for like 6 episodes, and he didn't really do much.
Let's just park him in Harrenhal, Like it's important tactically for like the war efforts and things like that, but like we can kind of hide him there. It's like, oh, he's just in Harrenhal doing something important. Don't worry
Spooky
about it.
ghost stuff,
Yeah,
right?
there's a witch, and whatever. It's a stronghold. Yeah, he's gathering
Yeah,
troops, and whatever, gathering the bannermen. Kind of shit.
yeah.
Type
I'm
type
right there
type
with you.
shit.
Look at you, mid-30s type shit. I'm right there with you. I'm enjoying the season a lot more than I was enjoying season 2. I felt like, as I mentioned, sending Damon to Harrenhal for most of season 2 was kind of bad. It just felt like that drug on. I didn't like that they built up and then just let us down, although we did get obviously the conclusion to that here at the beginning of season 3. I like where the season's going. I'd like to see the relationship between Rhaenyra and Alicent now that they're in King's Landing together. We hadn't seen them together since they were children, and how Rhaenyra is kind of leaning on Alicent in her previous, experience as queen, because that's basically what she was, right? Is while Viserys was dying in bed, Alicent was handling all this work, and now Rhaenyra needs that experience, even though they're enemies. And I really, really loved the scene or the quote where she's like, in captivity, Rhaenyra's got her locked down, and she says something along the lines of, "Okay, I'm stuck here, and the only way you're going to let me out is if you capture my son and kill him. So like, I've got to root for the death of my child just so I can be free." And it's like, man, it's crazy how far they've come. And as I mentioned, I love that we started from when they were children, and it's grown to be this epic tale and this epic history. Keith, how are you feeling about season 3? Are you in on this journey?
I'm fully in on this journey. I love that we finally have moved to a place where Rhaenyra has moved in. She's officially the queen. I like that we finally taken that step. It's like that was kind of like last season was basically stalling until finally it was Rhaenyra's time. I love that we finally got there. There's been more action. Episode 4 was probably my least favorite, but I do enjoy that we've gotten a little more background on crazy bastard Dennis Reynolds / Ormond Hightower. There is one thing that I can't get past. Well, I can get past, but I can get past it. I have gotten past it, but it is just kind of. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. I don't know if you've seen any of this. Last season was incredibly boring, and part of that was because there really wasn't like a payoff at the end, right? It was leading up to a payoff, and they cut us off. And then this season, we start with a huge battle, and then second episode, get Rhaenyra taking the throne. Should these first 2 episodes should have been the last 2 episodes of last season?
Episodes 9 and 10. Absolutely.
And this is I think we all know this was an HBO decision that they cut the season short. So these 2 episodes were supposed to be last season's penultimate and season finale. If these 2 episodes were last season, would your thoughts have changed about last season? Because part of this, though, one last thing. Part of this is like, and this is one of my beefs, is the first episode of this season, one of the main characters is the fucking leader of the triarchy, the chick, who we saw in like, 1, maybe 2 episodes last season? Mm-hmm. So I'm having to rack my brain now 2 years later to remember who the fuck she is and why they're there and what her fucking vengeance with Corlys is. And then she dies this episode. Like if so many characters in Game of Thrones have very short lives, but their short lives are within 1 season. The Viper is one of those. He's only around for 1 season, but he's one of the greatest fucking characters there are. So they've taken away stuff like that by separating out these 2 episodes. Now, granted, it did make this season kickstart pretty fucking well, because if episode 3 and 4 were the first 2 of this season, we'd probably be talking about how boring this.
How boring the start is, for sure.
that's the trade-off, right? Would you rather have those to finish last season and make it more thrilling, or keep it as it is and not make this season start off boring?
I think that they should have had these as episodes 9 and 10. I think that they might have lost quite a few viewers with season 2, right? I feel like season 3 has come pretty unceremoniously. It was like, you were said, hey, this is out. We should watch this. And you're like, oh shit, it is out. Episode 2 is in a couple days. And so we were, as Game of Thrones fans, or me, I don't want to say we, but I was behind on the curve and I love this shit. So I think it's, obviously doesn't have the same cultural impact as Game of Thrones. And I think that having this, build it toward this big battle, having it pay off, and then having episode 10 or the end of episode 10 being Rhaenyra like sitting on the throne for the first time.
Way to end the season.
Exactly. And so I think that there's something there. And obviously I don't know what's coming. I'd love to have the kind of prediction section of the podcast, but there's got to be something else that's exciting, right? If we say that episodes 3 and 4 are a slow start to the season, then there needs to be something that is exciting and is fun in this season. Otherwise, what the fuck are we doing, right? There needs to be more fighting, more battles, more intrigue, other than just the politics. Otherwise, this season will be a lot like season 2. Lucas?
The other crazy thing about how, unceremonious the end of season 2 is that it was like 2 fucking years before we started. So like I would, I kind of understand why we didn't have the hype coming into this season that we would have, expected with Game of Thrones, and, even shows like Night of the Seven Kingdom probably don't have quite the, the leverage that they would have had, like if they came out during the heart of, actual Game of Thrones. Like, if they'd have thrown Night of the Seven Kingdoms at us in between seasons 5 and 6 of Game of Thrones, like everybody would have watched it. Everybody, like every single Game of Thrones watcher would have just thrown it on. And I think that, yeah, the one thing about this entire show is the pacing is, it's just not what we expect. It's not what probably we want. It probably isn't ideal for, building up the hype and the anticipation of the show. It's been very slow. I mean, when did the first fucking episode of House of the Dragons air?
I think I was in Oklahoma.
4 years ago?
4 or 5 years ago, and we're like less than 20 total episodes into the show. It's like,
and even HBO shows, right? We've all big fans of HBO shows. The Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, obviously. They have a slow build in every season.
Right.
It starts slow and then builds to an incredible fucking finish to season. That's how these shows are made. And the fact that they cut that off.
Now that you're saying it is a kind of a crazy decision that they made.
It's a crazy decision. And again, I don't want it to take away from the substance that we've gotten this season, but it does throw things off. Like my example of the leader of the Triarchy chick. It's been 2 years, and she was in like one fucking episode, and I got to sit here and rack my brain and be like, oh yeah, that's right. The fucking Lannister dude went south to Essos or wherever the fuck he went to get this fucking Triarchy, and now all of a sudden, now we have this big battle that it's like it's been 2 fucking years, and I got to start googling shit. Like, that's not how this should work.
Yeah. Hit pause so I can watch.
I've got some interesting factoids to throw at you guys here.
Hit us with it.
Let's hear them.
So we have had 22 episodes now that have aired, because there were 10 episodes in season 1, 8 episodes in season 2, and now 4 have aired in season 3. So the release date of the very first episode of the show was August 21st, 2022. So almost 4 years ago. So in almost 4 years, we've had 22 episodes, that we've seen. And by the end of it, 4 actual years, we'll be at 26 episodes. The viewership is pretty interesting. So the very first, and these are US viewers, so not worldwide data here, but the very first episode, 2.17 million, then to 2.26 million, then a pretty steep drop to 1.75 million, and it kind of hovered in the 1.8ish million range for the rest of season 1. Right? So season 1, episode 10, 1.85 million viewers.
I wonder what happened in episode 2 to drop off that little bit. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, people just were watching and it was like, it's boring. Right? Like, I don't know. Episode 11, so the first episode of season 2 opens with 1.32 million. So 500,000 people drop off from episode 10 to 11. And it kind of stays there, drops a little bit. And then actually the finale of season 2, 1.47, was the most viewers of season 2, 1.47. We open season 3, episode 19. So episode 1 of season 3, less than 1 million viewers, 0.86. So 860,000.
Wow.
And we have not hit 1 million viewers for any of the episodes yet this season. So 860,000, 970,000, 890,000, 920,000. So we have gone from the very first 2 episodes at, call it an average of like 2.2 million to now an average of like 900,000. So almost more than half, like 60 to 70, 65% of the viewers from those very first 2 seasons or episodes are no longer watching the show. Very, very few people are watching the show in comparison.
That's pretty interesting to hear for a number of reasons. Only 2 million actually sounds like not a lot.
Doesn't feel like a lot at all.
Doesn't feel like
even the 2 million feels like not a lot.
2 million to start. I feel like the end of Game of Thrones left such a bad taste in so many people's mouths.
Yeah, they're fighting an uphill battle.
And this show needed needed to be incredible to get those people back.
So here's some numbers on Game of Thrones.
I was hoping it's you.
And so these are numbers for, I think, like, a short period of time right after the episode came out. Right,
streamed it later on, right?
Right.
When it comes out, good. Those are the numbers.
So season 1 of Game of Thrones had an average viewers of 2.5 million. Season 2, 3.8. Season 3, 4.97. Season 4, 6.84. Season 5, 6.88. Season 6, 7.69. Season 7, 10.26. And season 8, just shy of 12 million. So we went from season 8, 12 million, to season 1 of House of the Dragons, like the average was under 2.
Part of that we have to factor in when Game of Thrones came out, streaming services were still not really a thing, except for like Netflix. So everyone still had cable. Everyone was still like watching shows weekly and not streaming. So that does kind of factor into.
Yeah, we're 2011. I mean, 2019 was season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so at that point, yes, definitely more streaming. Everyone was.
Yeah, it's a different landscape.
Yeah,
but
different landscape, but still.
We went from 12 million viewers to under 2 million viewers from season 8 to season 1 of the 2 shows. So it just shows you that this show is nowhere near the cultural phenomenon that.
And that's the thing about Game of Thrones, and what happens with truly great shows is they start off smaller, and as they get more people start watching, and it continues to fucking grow. And this is going the opposite way, which shows not only is it not the same cultural phenomenon as Game of Thrones, but a lot of people just don't.
just aren't into it.
Yeah.
It's tough to go 2 years in between seasons. That doesn't help.
Yeah, doesn't help.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, I think people, like you said, got so burnt from the end of season, 8 of Game of Thrones that it's hard to get people to buy back in. There's so many shows out there. There's so many TikTok videos, and it's hard to get people to sit down for an hour and watch a, episode of TV that is okay, in most people's eyes. I think we should. You got something, Keith? You want to hit me with before we move on?
Last thing. This is also a genre. That's another thing that made Game of Thrones unique is the Middle Earth night genre isn't like the most popular genre in general. So the fact that Game of Thrones was so fucking popular and so good was very unique to that. Like Lord of the Rings is very similar. There's not a lot of fucking shows and movies that can take this kind of like era and make it that worldwidely fucking popular. And so trying to do it again usually does not fucking work, as we saw with the Hobbit movies, as we're seeing with House of the Dragon. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, though. It's fucking awesome.
Love that. The only thing I think that
can't imagine a lot of people watch that though.
Oh, I bet no. The numbers are probably maybe.
I bet they're less than half of
best.
Less than 500,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got to look that up. I'm very curious. But gentlemen, I want to know where you think we're going. We kind of talked about the structure of the season and why they laid it out the way that it did. We have 4 episodes left. Lucas, you keep talking about we haven't seen Aemond. He's going to have some fire in him now that Rhaenyra is on this throne. Where do you think we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume Aemond is going to be heavily featured and prominent going forward. As obviously as Ormond.
Do you think they team up, or do you think they're adversaries?
I think they have to team up, right? And I think that what's his face, the old bodyguard, old hand. What's the
Sir Kristen.
Kristen Cole. I mean, it seems like at some point those 3 guys are gonna kind of come together and form the rebellion, if you will, right? So, and then I don't know. It would be cool to see if like somehow the witch is witching it up.
She needs to do something, right?
Yeah, witches bewitching. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hopefully she's doing like it would be interesting if somehow she has some sort of witch magic power over Aemond.
Kind of cool.
It would be interesting. So I don't know. I assume that's where we're going. I assume we're not just gonna have people in rooms talking for the rest of the season, because at some point dragons got to start fighting again. Darren seems like he's important in some way, even though his dragon's very small. Doesn't seem like a genuine threat to any of the big dragons. I don't know.
Keith, I'm going to ask you the same question. Where do you think we're going? But I also want your take on Aegon and Larys. Where do you think they're going specifically? And just for the rest of the season, where do you think we're going?
So if you would ask me the question about Larys and Aegon at the end of season 2, I would have thought that they'd be kind of just gone, right? But we've spent too much time with them in these first 4 episodes for them to just be gone. And one thing we forgot to mention, Larys Strong is the reason that Otto Hightower is dead. It was when Daemon came to the Red Keep, someone came to him and said, Larys Strong has left a gift for you.
Okay.
He was the one who kidnapped Otto Hightower. He is politicking. He is the little finger of this fucking series. So he's going to be back. Aegon, you can obviously see, does not like not having power over people. He's going to want to come back. So Aegon, I would not have guessed that at the beginning of the season. I think now for sure. And here's the problem, though. I don't know if this is going to happen by the end of this season or by the end of the series, but eventually Aegon is definitely going to fucking come back and try to take back his throne.
That's what I'm most excited for.
Which is why I think the little teaser there that his dragon is still alive, I think that's coming true. And Aemon is definitely not dead. We're going to get a battle between him and Daemon at some point. Again, yeah. I just, my biggest fear is that none of this shit that we actually want to see happen is going to happen this season. I do think we're going to see some shit happen in Tumbleton. Ormond Hightower is going to get taken care of sooner than later. I think we're going to see either Rhaenyra is.
It's just so funny. It's just so funny that like we have these armies that are forming and all this stuff because it's like when the dragons get involved, none of this fucking matters.
Yeah.
All we care about is the dragons fighting the other dragon riders. Like,
you got armies in all fucking corners of the world, and they're just waiting for a dragon to show up and
to burn the fuck out of every single one.
Out of the other one.
Yeah, we've seen that shit. We've seen that shit many times. The dragons just lay waste.
I agree that we have to build towards, again, another battle. You know, we had that scene where Kristen Cole was kind of mentioning guerrilla warfare, where they're gonna, they're kind of like a 300 situation I was, watching earlier, but I think they're gonna have to come back and play a big part. I'm curious to see what Ormond does. I'd like to see Daeron Targaryen, the one who's kind of captive. I'd love to see him kill Ormond. I think that'd be fun. I'm most interested, as I said, in Larys and Aegon. I'd like to see Aegon, for the first time in his life, being humbled, not having his ass patted everywhere he goes and telling him how great he is. He actually has to bend down and kiss this shitty boot. And you know what? Eventually, that might make a good leader. I'm curious to kind of see where that goes.
It would be interesting if he were to like play some sort of a factor, considering when he was fucking king, he was not a factor in anything. He was
completely useless.
He was useless, yeah.
So, but I mean, it's an interesting arc that we're on. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I do want to ask, Lucas, I'm going to throw this question to you. They've mentioned it. They've shown it. There's a reason that they do so. What do you think is going to happen with Ormond and his smells? Because they say he's got a proclivity to smells, right? He's like constantly smelling stuff. There's a reason for that. He has to like get poisoned, or he has to get in a fight in like a shitty field and he's at a disadvantage or something. Otherwise, why the fuck are we mentioning this and he's smelling stuff all the time?
I don't know, man. I'm not clever enough to.
I thought he was just a fucking crack.
To guess. I think he's just a weirdo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just like a quirk.
He's trying weird fucking drugs. He's got anger issues. He thinks he's fucking smarter than he is.
When he read that scroll and he like put it away and everyone's like, leave the room. And he starts freaking out and slamming the table.
That was
like,
fantastic.
Dennis.
Darren, that was a Dennis Reynolds fucking. He's gonna lose his shit again at some point.
Well, like I said, boys, I'm all the way in. I think we're in a much better spot.
1,000 wins.
I think we're in a much better spot through 4 episodes this time than we are last time. And just while we're here, before we get too far into it, I do have our reviews. So season 2, episodes 1 through 3, I gave an 8. Keith, you gave seasons 2, episode 1, 2, 3, also an 8. And Lucas, you gave those episodes an 8 as well. So we were all dancing in the 8s. And then obviously it feels like those numbers dwindled a little bit. But I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this series so far. Keith, I want to throw it to you. You're the reason that inspired us to do this episode. So I want to hear what your thoughts are so far in your review of the first half of season 3 of House of Dragons.
It's funny to hear that we all gave season 2 first 3 episodes an 8. Which it was 2 years ago. So who can remember what the fuck even happened? I'm sure they were good. No, this has been really, really good. The first two episodes were fucking awesome. Granted, they should have been the last two for season two. That's neither here nor there for the purpose of this. Um, I still, this show is not Game of Thrones, but it's still pretty fucking awesome. It has all the elements. It's just we're missing some of the stuff. Like I mentioned, Jace dying. We didn't really build a bond with Jace.
No,
We
he was
built
always kind of
bonds
a
with
bitch.
characters.
Both the brothers,
Both
right?
of them.
Both those
Both, yeah,
bastards.
both the kids. Like we built bonds with characters in Game of Thrones, which made their deaths so fucking painful and wild, even if they're only around for a few episodes. And this show doesn't have that same impact. It's still a good show. I'm still fucking enjoying it. I'm still kind of all in. After hearing my ranking for last season, it's making me question. I'll give this like an 8.3. I think it's good. I still think it's very, very good, and I'm really enjoying it. And it is better than last season, so 8.3.
Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first episode of this season was just an absolute tremendous, I mean, home run, just almost a perfect episode of television. It gave us everything we wanted. And then the last three, season two was also, or episode two was also very good, but as a whole, kind of like the last three are kind of what we've come to know and expect from this show. With some good like setup, right? We're setting up for something really good, which is unfortunately what the entire series has felt like, right? We're setting up for something and then nothing ever quite happens the way that we think it is or should happen, right? And so season or episode one gave us that finally, what we wanted, what we feel like we should have gotten, and then the other three are kind of back to business as usual. So averaging those all out, I think I'm with like an 8.5. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm with you, boys. This has been a fun TV watching. I feel like I'm finally back to the point where I'm watching TV every Sunday night, which is just fun, right? I love the weekly viewing. I love the discussion afterwards. And that's why I'm so excited that we get to do this, is because, no one else that I know is watching this. So to sit down with you boys and shoot the shit about House of Dragons is a ton of fun. And I enjoy watching it and being along for that weekly roller coaster. I like the characters. I love just being, like I said, being in the world and the history of it and seeing why Daenerys has this fire inside of her and why she ended up burning all of King's Landing. Spoilers. It just all kind of builds into Game of Thrones, even though it happens way before. It feels like it matters, and that's what I love most. So I'll stay right around an 8 with you boys. So I'm going to give these first 4 episodes an 8. I'm excited to see where they go, but part of me in the back of my mind is scared that we're going to do the exact same thing that we did in season 2 and just kind of fall flat. Because if you remember, I think last season it was episode 4 where we had the badass dragon fight scene where Aemon burned Aegon and Rhaenys died, and it was like all the shit came to a head, and then it just kind of floundered. And I'm really, really hoping that doesn't happen in this season. Is there anything else you boys want to mention about House of Dragons before I stumble into the beer corner because I forgot to and I feel like we should mention it?
Oh, no. Nothing more to mention here. But I'm glad, because I'm stumbling into the beer corner as well. And I thought that you'd forgotten, and I was not going to let you forget. Because I've had 2 of these 11% stouts, and I want to hear all about
Jesus
it.
Christ, 11%?
Barkeep.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Lane Good, educate us.
I would love to educate you, my friend. Yes, 11% bourbon barrel aged stouts in the middle of summer is a choice. I'm going to read this here really quick. The legend begins 2 decades ago as a single barrel experiment slumbered into the back of the New Holland cellar. This is out of New Holland Brewery. Brett Vanderkamp's curiosity was lit by tales of cider aged in whiskey casks. He wanted to design a beer out of bourbon barrels being the key ingredient. We always talk about barley and hops and all that good stuff, but the barrel, as we've learned with whiskey and obviously beer, can play a huge factor. They started with a small batch, and eventually it has become the #1 selling American-made stout. Let's see, they've expanded their repertoire to offer other bourbon barrel aged beers. They've got the reserve and the triple mash. We are obviously drinking the classic. In 2005, Dragon Milk's brand once again spread its wings, refabricating a century-old American pot still and becoming Michigan's first whiskey distillery since Prohibition, which I thought was pretty badass. So obviously these guys are also out of Michigan. The flagship beer was born out of the same curiosity. It became a hit from the bourbon barrels. I'm sure you guys can agree, it really doesn't taste like much else that we've had. The notes for the beer specifically, we are getting notes of coffee, vanilla, chocolat, and oak. I'll give you a little history here. Dragon's Milk has been a term used to describe a potent ale that was bestowed in the celebration at the end of a journey. So maybe we should have saved this for the last 4 episodes. Our signature stout carries on that tradition today. Roasted malt delivers notes of coffee and chocolate married with sweet undertones of vanilla and oak from a 3-month stay in bourbon barrels to create a truly legendary blend of flavor 11% ABV. Comes in a few styles. I would not want to go any bigger than this. I couldn't imagine drinking it in a 22 ounce or a 19 ounce. That would put me to shame. And that's the beer corner this week. Gentlemen, I'm very curious. I want you to rate this beer because I'll go out and start. I was shocked how much I enjoyed this 11% beer in the middle of summer. I'm wearing a long sleeve. I'm sweating. I'm sure you can't really tell on video, but I'm sweating. And to drink a strong, dark beer like this in the middle of summer and enjoy the taste and it kind of be semi-refreshing is unbelievable for me. So I'm going to go out and give this a 10. I don't think the bourbon barrel is too strong. I think it's a good taste. Usually when I have bourbon barrel stuff, it kind of kicks me. I don't like mixing whiskey and beer typically, right? Like that, those flavors for me aren't aligned. But this is a great beer. It's unbelievable. I'm shocked how good it is. And I can only imagine what it would taste like on a snowy, cold day watching the Titans win the Super Bowl. This is an amazing masterpiece, 10 out of 10 beer.
Unfortunately, you'll only ever be able to imagine that and never experience it.
Lucas, what do you think of the beer, my friend?
Let me give it one last little swiggerooski before I give my.
No, yeah.
It's very good. It is very good. You have to be a person who enjoys the stout, right? It is a very distinct flavor profile and just like it's thick, man. It's like drinking liquefied fucking licorice or something. I don't know. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I'm not quite as high on it as you. Part of that may be it's just not seasonally the kind of most appropriate beer. I also lugged this beer around with me for the last 8 days because I wasn't sure if I was going to ever be able to record while I was on vacation. So it's been warm and it's been in the sun and just not perfect beer conditions. So who knows if mine is, really up to its peak of its powers. But I'll give it an 8. It's very, very good.
Yeah, your beer has been through a lot.
Yeah, sure has.
Yeah, this is I'm have now moved, as you both noticed, to my garage, which is quite hot in the middle of July.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
And this is a beer that I would drink in the dead of winter. And I'm going to save the last 2 for the dead of winter because they're perfect beers for that situation. I do, upon first sip, there's a lot of these bourbon stouts, these peanut butter stouts, these fucking milk stouts. You can't really taste the milk, bourbon, peanut butter part of the stout. You can taste the bourbon stout. You can taste
Certainly
the bourbon.
can.
And I'm a bourbon guy. I think Lucas, you said that bourbon and beer don't go together. I think they go together quite well, and I think this beer puts them together quite well. I really, really, really enjoy it. I'm not gonna drink it again in the summer heat. But come wintertime, I'm gonna fucking bury these motherfuckers. It's really,
Get him
really
a
good.
body bag.
we're gonna be recording out here in December, and I'm gonna be in this very garage, and I'm gonna pull a couple of these extra out of the fucking fridge right there.
It's gonna be all bundled
'cause
up. It's gonna be good.
They're awesome. They're great. For an 11% beer, they go down real smooth. I'm gonna give them a 9. These are fucking. This is awesome. Good pick. Just yeah, like Luke said, it's not the most seasonal of choices, but it does fit. I mean, you can't find a better fucking fit for House of the Dragons. So.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I love doing this podcast. I'm excited to see you boys in person in just a few days. I'm excited to see the Odyssey. We're in for a wild ride with that and 4 more episodes of House of the Dragon. As always, we will see you next episode. Boys and girls, Luke and Keith, cheers.
Cheers boys.